Do you want to know how to position yourself as the obvious choice amongst all of your competitors so you stand out as the choice in your marketplace? Well, watch this because I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. What's going on? Yuri Elkaim, CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. We help health professionals build great coaching businesses online without the grind. And if you are a chiropractor, naturopath, health coach, dietitian, nutritionist, personal trainer, listen, you're not the only one, right? You're one of thousands of others who literally do the exact same thing as you. And you know that, right? That's not rocket science. But what you might be struggling with is how do you stand out from everyone else? How do you stand out from the noise? Because in a sea of everyone kind of saying the same stuff, it can be very easy to, number one, compare yourself to others, and two, become commoditized because now the market or your prospective clients see you as similar to everyone else. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the two main things you have to have in place in order to stand out from everyone else. So if you don't have this in place, what's going to happen is you're going to have a very hard time attracting clients. You're not going to be able to charge what you want, and you're going to be commoditized. People will see you as just the label of what you do as opposed to who you are as an expert. And that's not going to help your business. But if you adopt the two things I'm going to share with you in this video, you'll be able to command premium pricing, you'll have a lineup of clients eventually over time, and you'll become the preeminent expert in your marketplace, which means you're not going to have to sell. You're simply doing the buying. You're buying the clients as opposed to them or you trying to sell them into working with you. Wouldn't that be cool? So what are these two things? Well, let's break it down. The first one is actually understanding that people don't buy coaching, they buy coaches. So one of the common things that I hear is we'll often ask people who, book a call to speak with us, we're like, hey, what resonated with you about our masterclass or some of the marketing you've seen before booking a call with us? And very often the answer is, well, like Yuri just seemed like a really genuine, authentic, no bullshit kind of guy. So I'd say about half to 75% of the answers to that question are related to me and my character, how I show up. And that's awesome, right? Because again, people don't choose coaching, they choose coaches. So I want people to come into my world based on me, based on my personality, based on my philosophy, based on the words I speak and how I share content. So the first thing, if you want to stand out from everyone else, the first thing you have to do is you need to clarify your philosophy. In our programs, we have a process called brand you, right? So it's essentially articulating and extracting your brand. And just for the sake of simplicity, a really simple way to think about this is, what do you stand for? What do you stand against? Okay, like if you start there, like what pisses you off? And I'll just give you a couple examples, right? So I have a very low tolerance for working and dealing with incompetent people. And that includes people who can't drive, they sit in the passing lane, they can't do their job properly. And that's going to ruffle some feathers when I publicly share that. But guess what? I don't give a shit, right? Because I want to speak my truth. I don't want to vanilla sugarcoat anything. I swear in some of these videos, some people find that abrasive. I don't care. I'm not here to cater to everyone, nor are you. So I'm not saying you have to believe what I believe or say what I say. So you have to articulate for you what's important. We have clients who are very faith-based and they share that unapologetically. And I'm like, it's amazing because their business takes off because they're clear on what they stand for and who they are. And they naturally attract people who resonate with that. Because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for everything. And if you stand for nothing, people don't know what you stand for. So when they're looking at all the options in the marketplace, they're like, well, I don't know, like you sound like everyone else. But if you are very, very clear in your philosophy, what I mean, your general philosophy about anything, you will, and over time, as people consume your stuff, they will start to be like, you know what, like, yeah, this person keeps talking about this and I'm totally on the same page with that. And other people are like, man, like that's off-putting. Perfect. Because in order to monetize, you need to polarize. And we're not saying like step on toes and push people's buttons for the sake of it, but you have to clearly speak your truth. So the first way to stand out from everyone else is you need to speak your truth. And this is the hardest thing for most people to do because we're afraid of the backlash. The fear of being disliked is the number one thing that will kill your dreams. It's going to hold you back from really shining your light to the fullest. It's going to hold you back from being more aggressive. When I say aggressive, I mean sharing your message in a bigger way as opposed to playing small. Because if you don't want to step on people's toes and you're looking for everyone to like you, that's going to mean you're not going to post as often. You're not going to send as many emails. You might get some unsubscribes. You might get some people are like, hey, you're posting too much. They might unfollow you. Or maybe in a discovery call, it's asking a hard question that you feel might trigger someone, so you're not going to ask the question, therefore you lose the sale. It's not holding your client accountable to the goals and the standards that you've collectively set, and therefore they fall off the map and never come back. This is how this stuff shows up, and as a result, your business goes to the shitter. So being able to clearly articulate what you stand for is massively important, and it's really simple. Take out a sheet of paper and column down the middle, right? Left side, right side. Left side, what I stand for. Right side, what I stand against. What I believe in, what I don't believe in. So I'll give you another example. And this doesn't have to be exactly related to just your profession. I shared an example of incompetence that has nothing to do necessarily with just growing a coaching business. Here's another thing that drives me absolutely bonkers is tipping. I fucking hate it. You go anywhere and it's just like expected that you tip now. I'm like, this is out of control. And I will never fall into that. For the social pressure, I don't give a shit if the person's looking at me in the eyes. If they just took something off the shelf and gave it to me, I'm not giving them a tip. But if they provide an exceptional service, I'll go above and beyond, right? Now, again, if you agree with that, just that alone, there are these uncommon commonalities. So let's say that you're a health professional and you're looking for someone to help you grow your business, and you listen to that and you're like, all right, I kind of agree with Yuri there. This guy's on my vibe. Right away, we haven't even talked about business yet, right? All you're doing is you're kind of associating with my values. And you're like, hey, do my values align with this guy's or this gal's? And unless you share those, then no one's going to know what they are. So now they're only going to compare what you do with everyone else. Okay, so I could go on and on, like, with stuff I don't like, with stuff I believe in, with stuff I stand for and stand against. So for you, if you haven't done this already, please take a moment after watching this video to map out what you stand for, what you stand against. And this eventually will become the culture of your business. Your core values will come from this. So as an example, our 3 core values at Healthpreneur are speed is king, owner-like commitment, and driven to grow. Guess who lives those core values? Guess where they came from? Yeah. Guess who else lives those core values in our company? Everyone. Anyone who doesn't is very quickly let go, or they're not even hired in the first place. So if speed is king is one of our core values, guess what drives me crazy is taking forever to do simple things, or taking 24 hours to get back to me on a Slack message. Like that kind of stuff is like no bueno. So, but it's hard as a company, as you're building your brand, to know what your core values are if you don't even know what you stand for and stand against. So even if you're not hiring, even if it's just you as a solopreneur for now, the key is to identify for you, what do you stand for? What do you stand against? Okay. As a simple starting point, that's going to help you start to articulate your philosophy. Now you can take that very specific to your niche. So when I had my health business, I was general population, energy, weight loss, the whole gamut, which was a big mistake to begin with. Specialize if you want to monetize. So a couple of the things that I stood for was eating more plant-based foods, more of them in their raw state, alkalinity, low allergenic foods. And that was at the time kind of my philosophy. And I was against like long ass workouts and like all this kind of stuff. So other people might have different perspectives, right? Other people might say plants are the enemy and they have oxalates that destroy you and all this other stuff. So they're like, you should be 100% carnivore and long workouts are way better because they build more resilience. Like there's no objective truth. That's the thing that I'm trying to get to. It doesn't even matter what you say because I'm sure it works in some way, shape or form, but there will be people who resonate with you. So it's less about the message and it's more about the messenger. It's more about the messenger. But in order for you to become a messenger that people pay attention to, you have to have a clearly articulated message. And I'm not just talking about like, I help this person do this. It's the message. When I say the message, I'm talking about the message of you, what you are all about, your philosophy, when you speak, what's coming out of your mouth. Not just like your expertise. Like, okay, if you have this Coca-Cola, it's got 35 grams of sugar, like beyond that shit, okay? What's your philosophy on politics, parenting, same-sex marriage, whatever it is. Like you don't have to publicly share that stuff, but you need to articulate it and extract it for you first and foremost. And if you look at someone like Donald Trump, right, regardless of how you feel like him, one of the things that I appreciate about him is that he just speaks unapologetically. Like there's no filter. And some might say, well, that's not cool. Well, guess what? More than half the country thought it was cool, so they voted for him again, and now he's the president. I'm not saying you have to be like Donald Trump, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I think we're in a state of human development where trust is at an all-time low. People are more skeptical than ever before. And if you don't speak your truth, it's going to really work against you. Everyone's looking for authenticity, transparency, vulnerability. These are all things that are going to help build more emotional closeness to you. And even something as simple as like not having a blurry filter on your Zoom calls, like actually having a real background. All of these things are going to show people that you're a real person, right? Don't try to over polish everything. Like show the kinks in the armor, show the cracks. That's where the light shines through. You don't have to be perfect. Who gives a shit if you're a doctor? No one's looking for like a doctor. They're looking for someone they can resonate with. And if you happen to be an expert, that's amazing. So all of that to say the first most important way to stand out from everyone else is you. People are buying you, not what you do. Secondarily is related to what you do. And that's going to be what we call a proprietary process. So you need to have a recipe, a methodology, a roadmap for how you help your clients achieve success. If you don't, you can certainly get away just based on your personality to a certain extent, but everyone wants the man with a plan. And if you go into a conversation with the prospects and you can't show them a clearly articulated, mapped out, precise plan, they're not going to have a lot of confidence in you. Can you imagine getting on an airplane and you're like, cool, so we're going to go from Toronto to Los Angeles. So let's say I'm the pilot. And I don't know what the flight plan is going to be. Well, we'll get there. I'm not sure like how, but we'll get there. It doesn't instill a lot of confidence. Versus a well mapped out flight plan will say, okay, we're leaving Toronto at this time. We're going to be flying at this altitude in this direction, this heading. And we're going to have a couple stop points or checkpoints or milestones throughout the journey. And we're going to go around this way because the jet stream is a little powerful if we go over here. And we'll be in LA in about 4.5 hours. Okay, well, that's much different and much more confidence inducing. And it's the same thing when people come in to speak with you. It doesn't matter what you do. And this is actually one of the first things we help our clients articulate is you have magic. You have a recipe already. The challenge is, so if you're the coffee here, you can't see the outside of the label if you're inside the cup, right? So you're trying to figure out what's on the label here and you're like inside the cup. You can't see it. And that's the problem. You're too close to your own value to be able to even identify what it is. And secondarily is to be able to articulate it in a way that actually makes sense to the people you want to serve. Because what happens is you might know what you do, but you might just be like verbal vomiting over people in such a way where they don't even they're like, what are you talking about? I've shared this with my team. One of the biggest warning signs in general, whether it's a prospective client coming in to work with us or someone looking to work on our team as a team member, poor communication skills, lack of clarity in terms of their vision, lack of clarity in terms of their articulation. And this is actually why one of the most important skills we help our clients develop is communication. Because as a leader, you need to be able to communicate clearly and succinctly. And whether that's in writing like this or on a phone call, if you can't put words together that make sense for someone, you're toast. So part of that is identifying this proprietary process, which is a step-by-step process for how you help someone go from where they are to where they want to be. An example in our case is our perfect client pipeline. It's a 4-step system that helps you attract clients largely on autopilot. It's got 4 steps: predictable prospecting, teach to sell, ask and assess, coach to close. It helps you go from unknown to enrolled very quickly. So when we show people that, they're like, oh shit, this sounds like a good plan. So therefore, you don't just have to like post all over the place and hope and pray, or maybe some referrals will pop into your lap. You can actually take control of your business and have a predictable way to grow. And that's been the foundation of a lot of our growth since day one with Healthpreneur. And so with our clients, what we help them do is we help them extract and articulate this secret sauce, if you will. In the world of marketing, some people also refer to this as a unique mechanism, right? It's something unique about this. I'll give you an example. So in my previous health business, we had digital products, courses, and we also got into physical products like supplements. And one of the challenges in the supplement space is unless you have a very, very well-known brand, which goes back to step number 1, Mr. Beast, he could come out with anything, a car, more chocolate, the next Coca-Cola. They will crush because of the affinity that he has to him, his brand, his name. But if you don't have that, then this second piece is very, very important, because otherwise you just get put on a shelf, metaphorically speaking, with everyone else who does the same thing. And it's like, well, man, whatever. So in the supplement space, as an example, if you have a very strong brand, you can come out with a Me Too supplement and it will crush just because of the power of your brand. But if you don't have a big brand and if you don't have a name that everyone recognizes, then you have to have a unique mechanism or a proprietary process that is very different. So for instance, when I was in my previous business, we had a greens powder that we developed in my kitchen, to be honest. I had all the raw sourced ingredients. We had a whole supplier out of LA. Everything was amazing, organic, raw, the whole bit. But I had all the raw ingredients. I said, ship me all the bags. And I'm just going to start to fiddle around in my kitchen. So it took me about 3 months and using my kids when they were little as taste testers. But we cracked the code and we developed this beautiful greens powder called Energy Greens. It was 8 ingredients. And how we position this, right? So if you look at that compared to like AG1, their positioning was like, it's like a multivitamin, right? That's their positioning. It was like, it's more expensive because it gives you everything and it'll save you from having to have multivitamins and all this other stuff. That was their proprietary process, right? All this stuff. Our positioning, our proprietary process in that case was less is more, right? Yeah, you could have 1,000 ingredients, but how much of each are you actually getting? We're saying, well, if you actually want to get nutrients, you probably are better off by having a few ingredients that are of highest quality and your body actually gets a higher percentage of each. And so our whole philosophy was less is more. And then the second thing was that it doesn't taste like fresh cut lawn. It actually tastes really good. And there's no sugar, none of that shit involved. So we're always looking at how do we position things. Another example is if you look at probiotics. This is pretty common now, but when probiotics were becoming a bigger thing several years ago, you notice like enteric coating, right? A lot of probiotics had enteric coating so they could bypass the stomach acid and get into the intestine where they were more active. Now, is that true? Is that useful? Is that really the most important thing in a probiotic? Maybe, maybe not, but it gave the perception to the end user that, oh, this is different. Those other probiotics don't have this. And like I've even seen water that has gluten-free on the label. So does that mean other water is not gluten-free? We're always looking for the angle. I had a friend who had a curcumin supplement. And this is when curcumin, turmeric were becoming big in the anti-inflammatory space. And it was also at a time where everyone was coming out with curcumin supplements. And so what they found was they found some research that showed that black pepper or piperine, whatever the active ingredient is, actually increases absorption of curcumin. So what do? They included that in the capsule. And then that became a very big part of their marketing where their proprietary process was it's not just curcumin, which is not bioavailable or absorbed properly, but now with this black pepper, it's like a vehicle that improves the absorption of this ingredient. So you're actually getting more bang for your buck for the same price for whatever it is. This is making sense? So think of like all the supplements you see or have used. I promise you, most of the good ones have some type of unique delivery mechanism, some kind of combination or proprietary blend. It's this whole second piece to standing out. It's your secret sauce. How is this different? That's the key. How is this different? Okay, I got you. Cool. You're cool. Awesome. Whatever. I jive with your values. But how is this? How is your process different than what I've tried before? Because what this does is it gives people hope. The human brain loves novelty. The worst thing you could ever have is someone look at your stuff and they're like, I've done this before. This sounds like something else I did. They completely tune out after that point. But if you're able to introduce something new, it's just wrapping paper. It's not like it's new. Like you're not inventing stuff out of thin air. You're taking stuff that already exists. You're putting better wrapping paper around it and you're introducing it to the marketplace in a way where they're like, oh, this looks new. And now that increases hope because this is something new they haven't done before. And if nothing else has worked, maybe this is the thing they were missing. So it makes them more receptive to paying attention. So these two things are super important. So you got you, like yourself, and you have your unique process, your proprietary process. When you have those two combined, that is how you start to stand out in a crowded marketplace. And yes, over time, if you have a large following and all this clout, great, that helps. But it's hard to get there if you haven't articulated your philosophy and you have nothing new to bring to the market. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, subscribe, drop a thought in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. How can you know if your ideal clients are actually on Facebook or Instagram? I hear this all the time, and I want to share with you exactly how to know if your perfect clients are on this platform.